Hi guys, welcome, and today we're going to be doing a little NFL tier list based off of how many wins I think each team's going to get. So firstly, like and subscribe, and then sit back and enjoy the rest of the video. Football is back, baby. And with the start of the new season, I figured why not the start of a new channel. Today we have predictions for every team. I'm not going to go 32 for 32. I wish I could say I will. Also, not sure why it says 22 to 23, but same teams as long as it doesn't have the old Washington logo, it doesn't matter. So let's get right into it. We're going to start with San Fran. Firstly, I don't know if anyone's going to hit 14 wins. I also don't know if anyone's going to get 2 or less. Last year, Carolina had 2, and nobody had more than 14. So we might have at most 1 in each of these, but I'm not going to go around saying the Niners, Lions, Chiefs, and everyone and their mom are going to win 14 plus games, or that every bad team in the league is going to go 0-17. So I'm going to have to try to keep it as laid back as possible, which leads me to putting the Niners at 13 to 10. If anyone were to get 14, I could see it being the Niners. There are a couple other teams that are on that more 13 to 12 rather than 11 to 10 wins. Those 13 to 12s, they tempt me to 14, but I think we're gonna keep San Fran at a good 13 to 10. They are more than playoff hopeful. They're almost a lock these last few years, but any given Sunday. Speaking of any given Sunday, the Bears. Caleb Williams brings a whole new dynamic to this team, along with Keenan Allen. This team could be, and they got Rome. This team could be they could easily be up here. I feel like they'd be one of those teams that if they do make the playoffs, it'd be with 9 or 10. So like I could see them getting 9 wins and almost sneaking a wild card, if not sneaking a wild card. It feels very wrong to put them right next to San Fran, but I don't see them getting anything less than 7. We're gonna hope that doesn't age too poorly, but I think I'm gonna keep the Bears here. They might not immediately go to the playoffs with Caleb, but I do think they have made some significant improvements over this offseason. The Bengals are another one that on paper should be 14, 13 to 10. They got a tough division. And year after year, they never win 6, 7, 8 games in a row. And to get 14, you got to do that at some point. Even to get 13, 12, you got to go on a big stretch. The Bengals typically start out slow. They're usually either 500 or below going into weeks, 3 and 4. And then all the gears are in motion and they're kicking again, but Burrow's been getting hurt a lot lately. Chase has had some injury problems. They don't have a whole lot of star power outside of that. I'm gonna put them at 9 to 7. I don't see them getting double digits. I might bite my words, but another one that should be up here. They're bare bones of what they were a year ago, 2 years ago. They lost a lot this season, and what they got? They got 11 last season. They barely got into this bracket. Yeah, I don't know. I could see them here. This might be a hot take, but of these 4 teams so far, I think the Bills are the lowest one. I don't see them getting more wins than any of these 3 teams. Would have been a crazy statement 2 years ago, but Josh Allen's throwing to, the hot dog cart guy. Think I'm gonna no, that feels bad. I think I'll keep Buffalo at 9 to 7. I think for the first time in a little while, Buffalo does not dominate the East like they normally do. I think that'll look good on the Dolphins in a little bit. We're gonna go with Denver. I forgot what their quarterback situation looks like. I believe they said Bo Nix will not start, so they're kind of just settling for in the middle. They have a solid roster. They have studs on defense. Their offense has good players. I wouldn't call them studs, or I wouldn't say Cortland Sutton's necessarily a star, but they're a solid team. I could see them. I think they're right between here with 6 or 7. If they do make it to here, it's not going to be with 9. It might not even be with 8. Like I said, I could see the Broncos getting 6 or 7 wins, which puts that at a really hard spot. But because we have so many in this playoff misses, I think I'm gonna knock them down to mid teams. Some teams gotta lose games for others to win. So I think we're gonna keep Denver down here, 6 to 3 wins. The Browns were a sneaky good team last year after Deshaun Watson went down. It looked like, and Nick Chubb, it looked like all hell was breaking loose and they were falling apart. But Joe Flacco manage to send this team to the playoffs, just for them to get smoked in the playoffs. But an appearance is an appearance, and if Deshaun Watson can click the way that Joe Flacco clicked with this team, the Browns could win double-digit games. I don't see that happening though. I'm gonna leave them at 9-7. I don't think he's a top even 15 quarterback at the moment, maybe even top 20, but his record is not horrible on the Browns. So I don't see them, not hitting 7. Granted, they are in a hard division, but that's also why I don't really see him hitting double digits. That whole division usually squeaks out 7 to 10 wins, minus the Ravens last year with 13. But yeah, Browns had 11, Steelers had 10, Bengals had 9. It's a competitive division. I think it will be for a long time. It's in the nature for the AFC North to be competitive. So I'm gonna keep them at 9-7, right here with the Bengals. Buccaneers, they're in a great spot in terms of division. The Panthers were a dumpster fire. We'll see what they can do this season, but the Saints were, I don't know if any of you guys remember, but last year going into the season, the Saints had the biggest hype around them for no reason. People had them winning the NFC. People had them in the top 3, at least. People had them going Super Bowl, at least winning a playoff game or 2. And then we get this. I don't see the Saints as a great team. I don't see the Panthers as a great team. The Falcons could have been great last year had they used their weapons. The Bucs are in a really good spot, and as long as Baker can win the games that he should win, they could get double-digit wins. What did they finish with last year? 9. But they managed to get a playoff spot. This feels very disproportioned, but we always have a lot of teams in this 9-7 year after year. So it looks bad, but it honestly makes sense. Someone has to win 10 games in the NFC South. If it's not the Bucs, it's the Falcons. If it's not the Falcons, it's the Saints. It's not going to be Carolina, but one of those 3 got to make it up here, and I'm leaning Bucs. I think I'm going to throw the Bucs up here. Not saying that they're better than any of these 4 teams. They might be better than 1 or 2. They might be worse than 1 or 2. But in terms of where they're at, they play a much easier division than some of these other teams. The Cardinals are finally trending upward. They got a decent draft. Marvin Harrison Jr. could ball out and win Rookie of the Year. But even if they win 3 more games than last year, that still puts them at 4th in the West. They are not in the Buccaneers situation. They have a blood, sweat, and tears type of division year in and year out. I don't see them winning more than 6. What'd they finish with last year? 4. Yeah, I got them right there again. I don't want to put everyone in the same spot year after year because, teams win more, they lose more. But the Cardinals, I think they'll get a little better. I think they'll win 5-6, not 3-4, but they're not going to get too much better in that division. It is very hard to catapult yourself in the NFC West. The Chargers, Justin Herbert is already injured. It is August 1st at the time of filming this, and Herbert is rumored to miss the first week. That team has always struggled protecting Herbert. I remember last year when he was, throwing with his broken ribs, heaving breaths between heaving throws. He's struggling out there. He lost his dinosaur of a running back, Eckler, but dinosaur or not, he was a reception merchant. He lost his reception merchant, Keenan Allen. He realistically has a bottom 2 receiving core on that Chargers team. Not 2-0. They are not rebuilding, but whoopsies. But I don't see them winning a lot of games, and they could have been something, but the coaching, the injuries, they have never ever seemed 100%, and I don't think this is going to be the year that they seem 100%. Naturally, it's their God-given talent to lose 2 games to Mahomes, so maybe they squeak 1-1 with the Raiders, with the squeak 1-1 with the Broncos, but other than that, it's going to be a lot harder for this team to hit 7 wins. I don't see it happening. The Chiefs, 13-10. Again, if anyone were to be 14, I could see it being the Chiefs or the Niners, or even maybe Baltimore down there. Football's very close. The playoffs at the end of the year always come down to a game. We always have, if this team loses, they're out. If this team wins, they're in. I don't see it being this far apart. I don't see anybody hitting 14 wins. There is not a bad team in the league right now. You could argue the Patriots. But there's not, nobody's trash. Usually you have these these 14 plus wins when you have someone go 0-17, when you have someone go 1-16. I don't see that happening. Therefore, I don't see anyone squeaking 14. But I will put the Chiefs. Actually, I'll put them right behind the Niners. I'm not gonna explain it any further. I don't see anyone getting 14, but I do see the Chiefs being at the higher end of this tier. The Colts they look like the best wild card team out there. With that being said, they fall to the bottom of this bracket because the Colts are in a really good spot along with the Texans of their division has completely fallen apart outside of those two teams. The Titans are already not the best on paper, and they're somehow struggling even more in the offseason. We just had DeAndre Hopkins go out with injury. The Jaguars should be an elite team, and last year they lost, 6, 7 in a row and missed the playoffs? Like, this team, 9-8. Jaguars last season, I swear they were, 5-1, something like that. They were a great team in the beginning of the season. Let's see, this team going into the bye week, mind you, is when they completely fall apart. They are 6-2 going into November, and this team manages to finish 9-8. The Jaguars are not a bad team, but to say that they didn't fall apart is a complete lie. And last year looked like their year. Going in, I bit my words completely on this, but going into the season, I had them in the championship. I don't remember 100%. I don't think I had them in the Super Bowl, but I know for sure I had them in the AFC Championship, and this team managed to miss the playoffs when they were 6-2 at one point. Philadelphia Eagles level crash out. They fell off the face of the earth, to say the least. I don't see them being a juggernaut next year, and that's what everyone had them be, and they ended up being 9-8. Someone in that division's got to win. I think it's the Colts and Texans again. We go Washington. If anyone is rebuild time, it is Washington. Only reason I'm not saying it is because they have hired every single near retiree in the league. Bobby Wagner, Austin Eckler. They are stacking this team up with dinosaurs. But they're not horrible dinosaurs. They could get 3 wins, at least. They could get 5 wins. They could get 6 wins. I do not see this Washington Commanders team getting 7 wins. I know it's risky to say this early, with a whole season ahead of us, but I would bet so much money that the Commanders do not hit 7 wins. This team, on paper, is not great. They are not horrible. They will upset some teams here and there, but that is the most it's going to be. It'll be here and there. They are not going to mount any momentum through the season, and I do not see them getting 7 wins. If anyone were to be down here, it'd be Washington or potentially New England, but New England always finds a way to win, and Washington, that division really should not have as much 50-50 as it does, but somehow they don't get swept by every team in the division. Well, obviously they're not going to get swept by the Giants year in and year out, but somehow Dallas and Philly can't get the job done twice a year against Washington. Why, I don't know, but that means they got to win a couple games. I'm going to have them at 6-3. The Cowboys, regular season champs. Need I say more? The Eagles, where did they finish? They were so good until they weren't. 11, wow, they managed to win 11 games. All I remember is the Eagles being the 1 seed, and obviously, look where they turned out. Like I said, Eagles and Jaguars had the equal turnout with equal expectation. They were both supposed to be juggernauts, and they both absolutely lost it. I'm going to put the Eagles at 13-10. They have probably one of the best looking rosters in the league. That offense is disgusting. Granted, they did lose some offensive line weapons. I still think they'll be okay though. Granted, their roster looks like they should be, 14, but with the way that their secondary was getting cooked at the end of the season, they are not a juggernaut of the NFL. They're a great team though, so definitely playoff hopeful. The Dolphins easily slide up here. I don't see Buffalo taking that title again for their division. The Patriots are practically an easy 2 wins. The Jets might put up some more competition this year if Rodgers can play more than 30 seconds. But this is the Dolphins division to lose. Tua has, a beautiful contract extension. They got Waddle and Tyreek locked down. They are coasting into this next season, which granted could completely ruin them. I don't think it will. Miami is usually a pretty solid team, if not good. I think this season they won't just be good. I think they'll be pretty scary. The Falcons as well. They should have been so much better last year. And thankfully, Arthur Smith is gone. Good luck, Chicago. Arthur Smith is gone, and Bijan and Kyle Pitts are free from the, absolute snap hell that they were in. Why they weren't getting the ball, who knows? But they might now, and that completely changes this team. I think the Falcons and Bucks go double-digit wins, while the Saints and Panthers both struggle. That's how I see this division playing out. Falcons up here because the Saints, even though they've managed to escape cap hell, I don't see them being special. So we got the Falcons and the Bucks up here together. Saints and Panthers will be somewhere down here later. You also missed my spiel about the Jaguars of, you know how I feel about the Jaguars. Absolutely crashed out last season. And granted, they were supposed to be juggernauts last season. They were supposed to go far into the playoffs and be this, and that. They were this, and what the hell is that? They fell off the face of the earth, and I don't see them being that much of a threat. Granted, any given Sunday, they could beat any of these teams up here. With that being said, though, I don't think they belong with any of these teams up here. So we're going to keep the Jags at 9-7 wins. Meanwhile, the Giants, right there with Washington. I hate to repeat the same thing year after year, because this is kind of how it looked last year. Of Commanders had 4, Giants had 6, and Eagles had 11, Cowboys had 12. But realistically, that's how I see this division going, is the Cowboys and Eagles right up here fighting with each other, while the Commanders and Giants fight for who's not last. I don't see this team, either of these teams, going great. And with that being said, I see the Giants going 6-3 again. Aaron Rodgers is a wild card. If Rodgers can play well and stay healthy for more than 30 minutes and actually last a full football season, this team could easily be up here. Will that happen? I don't know. I really want to put him here because not only is him surviving a factor, but he also has to play well. Mind you, he missed a whole season with this brand new team. Aaron Rodgers has not played actual NFL football since he was with the Packers 2 years ago. Last year was supposed to be his warm-up year and getting used to the team, not just in practice, but in actual NFL games. I don't see Rodgers being a well-oiled machine this year. Rodgers is never bad, but I don't think he's going to put this team on his back for 13-10 wins. Granted, he doesn't have to. Their defense is elite. If Breece Hall and Garrett Wilson can do their job on offense, this team could be really good. But a lot of teams look really good on paper and then somehow, win 9-8 games and just barely miss the playoffs. I think the Jets will be a little higher than the Bills. I'm not really worried about sorting this in order. They're just on the tier. I could definitely see above that. I just doesn't feel right in my gut to put it anywhere above that. The Lions are the easiest 13-10 for me. Even easier than the Chiefs. Just as easy as the Niners, but I have been a Lions believer for the last, whenever Dan Campbell came in. Last 3 years, the Lions have looked nothing but better than they did last year. And last year, they looked pretty damn good. So if anyone were to be a Super Bowl contender, Lions are coming out of the NFC swinging. The Packers are sneaky good. The fact that they got Jordan Love to play as good as he did for, it wasn't a super long time, but he played good enough to squeak them in. And then for them to beat Dallas in the wild card, they skipped the rebuild. They should have been here a year or two ago. And instead they made the playoffs. Did they have 10? No, Packers made the playoffs with 9. But they had 10 after they beat the Cowboys. This team, it amazes me with, it's the coaching in the front office, because the way that they put this team together is absolutely ridiculous. I don't know how they always win. And, as a football fan, it gets frustrating seeing the same teams win all the time, but they do. They win a lot, and that's part of why I think this division is going to be so close. I think the Lions pull ahead by, 2 wins at the end of the season, but I think the Bears and Packers both fall just short of double-digit wins. Speaking of a team falling short, here are your Carolina Panthers. I'm not saying anything more. The Raiders. It feels really sketchy putting 3 teams in the same division at 6-3. I don't know if I like that. I don't know. This division looked so much better 2-3 years ago though. But with their quarterback situation is more than less than ideal, to put it kindly. Davante Adams wants out. I'm gonna keep him at 6-3. I might be wrong on one of these three, but they all feel best here. We're gonna go with the Rams. Are again skipped having a rebuild. I don't know how they managed to be so good. I really thought last year they'd be worse, but here we are. Really, the only thing they lost is Aaron Donald. With that being said, they fall at the upper echelon of right here, right with the Bears and the Packers. I don't see them being a bottom of the barrel playoff miss team like 7 wins. I also don't see them getting double-digit wins. They could, but my gut's telling me 9-7. The Ravens, my gut is telling me better than 9. Granted, they lost the defensive coordinator, moved over to Seattle, Mike McDonald, but that defense was something. And the defense isn't what won them MVP either. Their offense just brought in Derrick Henry. This team looks absolutely nasty. They are one of the easiest 13-10s on here. Only thing that's making it hard is, do I put them at 14? I don't think so, though. We're going to go 13. I feel like that is the safer move. The Saints, yeah, that's enough for me. The Seahawks, Geno is already hurt. That did not take long. Just like Justin Herbert and DeAndre Hopkins, for some reason these players cannot make it through the preseason practices. But Geno, they said the report is supposed to come out tomorrow, which by the time this video is out, that report will probably already be out. Sources close to the Seahawks have said it's not a serious injury, and it doesn't look serious. But with that being said, Geno's old. Reports have also said that Sam Howell's looked inaccurate and surprisingly not as good as they thought he'd be through these practices. I want to put Seattle at 13-10. They have studs all around. DK9, they got young talent on the defense, and they just freed up some cap space with sending home Jamal and Quandre Diggs. They could have made a lot more moves this offseason, but they didn't. They kind of just filled some gaps. So I think I see them getting 10 wins and maybe losing the wild card, but I don't see them going 9-7 again. This team is too young to stall. I think they get some progress and at least make it to the playoffs again like they did 2 years ago. Anything more than that is pretty much a reach. The Steelers don't know what it's like to go below 500. Let me rephrase that. Mike Tomlin does not know what it's like to go below 500. And as long as he's the coach, it's either they're here because they won 9 games or they're up here. They're not winning less than 9. If any year was going to be the 8-9 season or the below 500 season, it would have been last year. And no, it wasn't. So at this point, I'm not betting anything against Mike Tomlin. What'd they win last year? 10. Yeah, I think it makes sense to have them up here. The Texans, 10, easily. The Titans, all the way down here. Here's where I'm thinking a potential 0-2 wins is the Tennessee Titans. This team is a dumpster fire, to say the least. They can upset a team any given Sunday, but they are at max given a couple Sundays. I'm really tempted to put this team here. I think I'm going to leave them here for now, and I'll throw the Minnesota Vikings to 6-3. Well, that depends on JJ's health. Justin Jefferson was kind of the heart and soul of this offense. TJ Hawkinson took a big role after JJ went down. Jordan Addison stepped up. Whether or not they'll play the same role with JJ healthy, I don't know. If they can manage to get all 3 of them, playing together like a well-oiled machine, that offense could be scary. But do I trust JJ McCarthy to lead a scary NFL offense? I don't know. I'll put them at 9-7, but that means I am leaving the Patriots at 6-3. Self-explanatory, they're done. It is safe to say, with Belichick gone, Brady's long gone, this Patriots dynasty is officially over, and you can all sleep wonderfully. The Patriots are winning at max 6 games. I'm not 100% sure they'll even hit 3 though. But I know I said earlier, no one in 2-0, no one in the 14 plus. I still feel pretty okay with no one in 14 plus. I'm worried about, San Fran, the Ravens, the Lions, but I feel pretty comfortable with the Tennessee Titans at 0-2, and I will not be losing any sleep over that. If they do somehow squeak out more than 2 wins, they're gonna get 3, 4, maybe. And with that being said, here is our NFL 2024 to 2025 tier list. We have a lot in the 13 to 10, and other than that, this feels pretty well rounded. I really don't mind any of this. Granted, probably won't go 32 for 32, but I think I get at least 50%. Hopefully we get at least 20 to 25 out of this, but we won't know till February. So until then, if you enjoyed, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.